Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so this is Rosanne Hauk from the Chicago School. I'm thrilled that you agreed to interview with me today. This interview will be short, but we will attempt to accomplish certain topics in our talk today. So we are going to talk about the articulation agreements that you are currently engaged in. I want to be able to have you talk a little bit about how you plan to use those degrees and end with what your personal mantra is and advice for students.
Perfect.
So, Rosanne, let's talk about how you came to the school, what your process was, and how you are working through those agreements.
Okay, great. I was looking for a school. I decided I was going to go back and finish my degree. I dropped out of college when I was 19. And so I knew that I wanted to get my PhD. And I was looking, found the Chicago school, loved that it was accredited, obviously, and loved that it was focused solely on psychology. Um, had half of my bachelor's transfer. And so when I started, I had 60 hours left in my bachelor's, and I knew I was going to do my master's and PhD. So I was in touch with my student support advisor and mapped the whole thing out broadly. And so what I did was I knew this is my goal and I advocated for that. And I said, how do I get this goal done in the most efficient way and the most effective way? And the first thing was to decide kind of what path I thought I wanted to take. And that was when I decided not to do clinical, but to go into more of the business route. From there, we went into planning for finishing my bachelor's, the MA, and then the PhD in organizational leadership. When
Exciting.
I had, yeah, when I had set that plan up, then as I'm in, this is all happening while I'm taking classes. Once I knew I was going to do bachelor's, I got right into it, started my 2 courses, and then I figured this out while I was doing that. Found out about the articulation agreement, knew for sure that I wanted to do it. And then as I was getting ready to do that, I asked if there was one for the PhD as well, found out there was. So what
Ex-
I did, yeah, was very efficient, but I have them both going back to back.
Okay. And your PhD is organizational leadership,
Mhm.
correct? Okay. And so, if I'm understanding correctly, you are able to obviously take certain classes in your bachelor's while you're taking some in your master's. You apply for that articulation agreement, and then you do the same path for master's into your doctorate.
Right. Yes. And the benefit to that is, of course, time is condensed, which is great. Also, for the master's to the bachelor's connection, you're paying for bachelor's classes, but you're getting
Your
master's
master's.
classes. So that
Okay.
really was helpful. So in the articulation agreement for the BA, you are allowed to take up to 18 hours
Okay.
towards your master's. And in the master's to PhD articulation agreement, right now you can take up to nine towards your PhD. And so I utilized all 18 of those. And so how that's going to look is when I finish my bachelor's in December, I will have 18 hours completed of my master's. I will be an official MA student at the end of this session. In January, I will have 12 hours left of my master's. 9 of those can be PhD. So I have my articulation agreement in hand, ready to be passed it on to them for them to accept. And then January, I will be an official MA student and I will start my first PhD class.
Wow.
I know.
So, what's the target end date for your PhD?
The goal is I'm 47 right now, and my goal is to have my PhD done and my dissertation, all of it by the time I'm 50.
Nice. Okay. And what is your plan to how do you plan to use these degrees in your future?
Good question. I'm going to tie in my past a little bit to this. I've had a rough past, a lot of stuff I've gone through. In the process, I've always worked and I've, raised children and all of that. I noticed how often people's wounds and past were coming into their work. And so I could either sit down with people and talk one-on-one with them and as a therapist, or I could get a degree, a PhD that would allow me to hopefully reach people out in the workforce and possibly benefit them in a professional and personal way by bringing the tenets of business psychology to the organizations that I'm going to work for. So the goal for me, I would love to have a consulting firm. That's my ultimate goal.
Okay.
Because what the business psychology degree, especially organizational leadership offers is the opportunity to consult with businesses and say, your organizational structure could use some improvement. Let's see how we can do that. And newsflash, it's almost all about people, which
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
And that's my goal, is to work with people and benefit them to the greatest extent that I can. So I'm excited, really excited.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
And so with that, what is your personal mantra and what advice do you give our students right now?
My personal mantra is create your own space. A lot of times we grab onto someone else's space and hope that we add enough value that they keep us around, instead of saying, this is the space I have, and I'm willing to have you a part of mine and me a part of yours, but this is mine. And in doing that, the first thing you have to do is be an advocate. You got to know yourself and know what you need, what you don't know, asking for help and asking questions and saying, this is my goal. What do I need to do to achieve it? Ultimately, no one at the Chicago school cares more about my goal than I do. So if I don't feel like it's being pursued enough, I need to just ask questions. I need to connect with the right people. I need to continue to find the people who are going to answer those questions so that I know what the next step is. And so for students, it's the first step is going to school. That's it. You don't have to figure the rest of it out, but keep a curious mind and keep your goals in front of you, even if they change, and make sure that you're asking questions and advocating for yourself.
Well, and I think you make a great point that the school has a wealth of resources. Like there's
Yes,
so many, not just supportive resources, but we offer so many pathways to advanced degrees and to
you do.
achieve
And
your
if
goals.
if somebody you're talking to doesn't know, they'll put you in touch with someone else. I think in a matter of a week, I spoke to like 3 heads of departments because they were like, you know what? Sounds like this is the person you should talk to. And by the time I got to the head of the department that I needed to talk to, he had already gotten an email about me. He was like, oh, I heard about this and we're going to try to figure out this double articulation agreement thing because we haven't done that before. And
Right.
everybody was willing. And that is huge. So if you
So
ask, you're going to be met with people who want to
so,
help.
so you being the first student doing this is very exciting. And so um, I'm so glad that you shared your experience. I also know that you're so open and you're willing to talk to students and provide support and now the knowledge that you have. So I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad that you're one of our students. Um, and and so thank you so much. Thank you for this. Maybe we'll do a follow-up. Who knows? But
That'd
like
be
to check in
awesome.
and see how your
Thank you.
experience is going. Thank
Yes,
you,
thank you so much. I've
Rosanne.
loved it.
Thank you.